get myself together. Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. And if you're anything like me, then you know that this is the official start of your 30-minute lunch break. Now, last week, my boyfriend was like, "Oh, babe, why do you always say the same joke in the beginning?" And I was like, "What joke are you talking about?" Okay, because I was like legit confused. And he was like, "About the lunch break." And I was like, "Because it's not a joke. Okay, when you work Monday through Friday and you only get the weekend off, and you be having stuff to do every single weekend, yeah, it's equivalent to a 30-minute lunch break. Okay." But anyways, these are just my unpopular opinions on some very popular topics. So if you're okay with that, grab a seat and come talk with me, Donny D. Now I wanted to talk to y'all before I had left to go out of town today, but I wanted to ask you guys a question, okay? When? When is it going to end? Okay, because at this point, this has been going on for at least like let's just say a century, okay? For over 100 years, we have been going through this madness of discrimination, people being used as targets as if they're at the gun range. And I'm just like, at this point, it's very tiring, it's very old, and it's like, how do people expect us to legit raise babies in a world like this? Okay? Listen, when I was younger, I lived in Baltimore, okay? And back then, they could care less if you was black or white, okay? There was only two things they cared about in Baltimore, okay? That was if you lived in the city or the county, and if you were a Blood, a Crip, or any other gang affiliate. Like, that was all they cared about, okay? And back then, I was, say probably like 10. Yeah, about 10, where the gang affiliation thing directly affected me. Okay, imagine how childish and like how very small minded it is to be in an altercation with somebody only because of your favorite color that you decided to wear that day. All right, because that's what happened to me when I was, like I said, 10. I had this blue book bag, and I loved the color blue back then. That's probably why. This altercation is probably the reason why it's not like up on my top favorites anymore. But anyways, I was on my way home from school and I got approached by this gang of guys who asked me a question that I didn't have the answer to it. So I was confused. And they pointed out the fact that I had a blue book bag on, and I was like, well, it's just a book bag. I'm 10. Like, I'm in the 5th grade. I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Like, what is happening? And we got into an altercation. Now, luckily enough, before it had got escalated to like probably a very tragic level, there was a person that came by and was like, "Listen, like, what's going on here?" And everybody dispersed. But like I said, imagine how very small-minded it is to get into an altercation with somebody or getting caught up in a situation with somebody that can end terribly wrong over a color that you wanted to choose. Like, you chose to wear as an accessory. That's, to me, how it seems to be in an altercation with somebody with a color that you weren't able to pick. Like, I feel like people think when we're in the womb, right, and all of our little body parts are being developed and stuff, that we just reached into a box and said, I want to be this color, I want to be that color. Because I'm pretty sure if people would have known how their lives would have ended up by picking that color up out that box, they would have chose something completely different. Okay, because at this point, I don't even understand. And you know what? I the other day it kind of like popped in my head. I'm like, most of these problems that we have in today's world is because someone else told them to have the problem that they once had. Like, I never understood why what we face in today's world is still a thing. What is that about? And for the life of me, I can never understand how people go out there and claim to have a voice of their own and follow by the same actions of someone else. Like, how does that make you an individual other than the group of a problem? Like, the problem, you're saying you're an individual, but you've become more of the problem from the group that was already established before you. Now, I get it. I completely get it. If you had personal dealings with people of certain backgrounds, whatever the case may be, that's something completely different. Okay, that's for another show, another episode further on down the line, whatever. But right now, it's about the fact of none of us on God's green earth was able to just go into a box and pick out what color we wanted to be. So to have that be an issue amongst us is like, I don't get it. I've never understood that. And pardon me, sorry. I just don't see, I don't have the confidence. And when I was younger, I used to always say I wanted kids by the time I was like 25. I'm about to be 27 in May. I don't have the confidence to say that I'm comfortable with raising a child in a world in which people are ridiculed and abused and just wrongfully discriminated against over the color of their skin. I never understood that. Like, I don't see why people even care that much. I don't understand it. And I don't know. I don't know. I wish it would have made sense to someone back in the day for them to be like, you know what? I just don't. I don't even understand how we made it this far in the future and we're still dealing with this. At this point, we have cars that can park themselves and we're still worried about the color of somebody's skin. Like, I just don't, it's mind-boggling to me. It's really mind-boggling to me. And then more recently, this story about the kid that had got pulled over in the traffic stop. Now, that part, I just don't get, it's very disheartening. And I'm a people person. Like, I love people. But the older I get, the more I realize that my attraction to people and their energies and stuff like that starts to dwindle when I realize that the same people that I strive to make connections with are the same people, well, maybe not the same exact ones, but they're amongst the people who have ill will. And I don't understand why. Now, that's not to say that they overshadow the people who are out here to do good for the world. Like, no, props to y'all. I see y'all. We here. But for the people who have the ill will, it's like, why? Because someone told you to? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. It's very disheartening. And I feel like we've made it too far down the line to still be where we were about a century ago. Like, how are we proving to the people that we are advancing if we're still stuck back there? And this is like I used to tell my ex. I mean, I used to tell my ex and, past friendships. I don't like feeling like I'm stuck in a revolving door. And with these issues that we still have today, I feel like we're just stuck in a revolving door. You just go around and around and around. Like, no one's willing to actually go through the threshold to be on the other side of this so that we can see a brighter future to this whole thing. Like, I just don't get why people are okay with being stuck. Because right now, that's where we're at. We're still stuck back from when this all began. And I don't understand where people's mentality is with this whole thing. But at this point, like I said, when is it going to end? It's very tiresome. It's very old. And at this point, I know some people are going to, ream me about this. And again, this isn't a show in which, negative energy is acceptable, but I do value people's opinions. And so, by all means, I would love to hear you guys' feedback on this. Tell your friends about it. Share this episode with them. And if you haven't already seen the previous episodes before this, go back and share them too. Let's all talk about it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will talk to you guys next week.